Welcome to episode 8 of the Bagels and Breadsticks podcast. As always, I am Richard.
And I am Logan, and we have a crap ton of fun things today to talk
We
about.
do. We're obviously going to be focusing on the two main things happening on both tours, Paris and the WTA Finals.
Right, because we are recording kind of in the middle of both of those, sort of at their final stages.
For the record, different to our other episodes, this is being shot a day earlier. This is Saturday.
Yes, this is Saturday.
So let's start with Paris. What do we think so far? So as we're recording right now, Djokovic and Tsitsipas are currently playing their semifinal.
Yeah, we are at a point where Djokovic has won the first set and lost the second set, and we are gonna see
tied in the third. We'll see what happens moving forward, but as of right now, what do we think of the tournament? Some big upsets, some big matches.
Yes.
Felix made the semis. I think that's really, really awesome for him. I think that instills a lot of hope with what he could do at the Tour Finals. With the way that with the way the tournament has played out so far, I'm going to concur to you and kind of agree that it will probably be a Novak show next week.
Yeah.
But with that said, I still think Felix could have a really good showing. I'm not going to count him out of the race. I'm going to still keep him in that race for the title. He's looked so good, and I really would love to see him versus Novak in like the semis or the final.
I would also love to see that, but like I was going to mention earlier, but refrained from doing so, this is a stoppage in his momentum.
Yeah.
Losing in straight sets to Rune, 4-2.
Holger Rune has had an amazing tournament.
He's had an amazing last month. This is his however many in a row final that he's been in.
Yeah.
This is crazy for him.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is the biggest final of his career. And when you look at his road to this to the final, defeated Wawrinka in the first round, 10-seeded Hurkacz in the second, then Rublev in the third, and then
he beat Alcaraz, but we'll sort of talk more about this in a bit, but because Alcaraz retired the match.
Yeah. And then Felix in the semis. I mean, what a really, really difficult road for him.
Yeah,
and a very
impressive
road. Yeah. A seed every single round past the first. And for somebody who had been doing so well, like you mentioned, how many finals has he already been in the past few weeks? Difficult, but I feel like at the same time fitting.
Yeah.
Because this was, I think making those finals was confidence, but I think to have gone through so many top 10 players in a row, build that up even more, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see what we can get out of him next year.
Oh yeah, I think that's a good point. He has so much momentum right now.
Yeah.
And but I do think that as a player, we've kind of been watching him kind of rise up through these rankings and being able to tackle more difficult players, and especially with his success as of late, defeating pretty much if I am wrong, everybody in straight sets. Has he not?
Okay. So, as it stands right now, with Holger Rune as a finalist in Paris, still not knowing the outcome of if he will win the full tournament or not, the way it stands right now, he will jump to number 12 in the world. 6 spots up from his previous 18.
Wow.
Saying he wins the tournament, he could very easily break into that top 10.
Jeez.
Which is insane.
That is insane for him. Oh my gosh.
That's a really big result for him. He's only 19 years old.
And he was far lower at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. I don't know where he was
I don't remember where he started either, but I do recall that this year was insane for him. The climb we've seen the climb, and he's reaching.
This semifinal in of itself is revenge for this last tournament that he played in Basel. If we remember, this was the final.
That is the revenge.
Where Felix did take out Rune. But speaking of the Tour Finals, we mentioned it earlier. Let's talk about we have finalized names for who's going to be there.
And let's clarify that this time, like last time, I have not looked at the.
You have not.
I have not. I have not looked at it yet, so as to sort of get some live reaction.
So the number one seed going into Turin will be Rafa Nadal.
Because of Alcaraz's injury.
Alcaraz has officially pulled out of Turin.
Oh.
That's what I was waiting to tell you.
That's so...
So Rafa Nadal will be the number one seed at Turin.
Okay.
And he still has a chance to be the year-end number one.
Oh, Rafa.
Tsitsipas pulls up in second with Casper Ruud in fourth, Medvedev in fifth, Felix in fifth, my bad. Rublev in sixth, Djokovic in seventh, which means that either Taylor Fritz or Hubert Hurkacz, because I believe there's still points up for... I think the thing is, I'm not sure. I think this is the last tournament, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it is.
Which means by 50 points, Taylor Fritz beat Hurkacz. That is an equivalent of one round. So if Hurkacz had beat Holger Rune, it would have been Hurkacz. But it is looking to be Taylor Fritz.
That's incredible. Oh my god. We manifested it. We manifested this.
Wait.
What?
I overlooked one thing.
Oh yeah.
Holger Rune might be that 8th spot.
What? Wait. If he wins Paris.
On accounts of if he wins Paris.
Oh, interesting. Coming out of absolutely nowhere.
I'm pretty sure.
Could he? Oh my goodness. That'd be insane if he did.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's either Taylor Fritz or Holger Rune, and I'm very excited for this final because it has whole new stakes now.
Yeah, Yeah. Talk about expectations and reality here. We did not foresee this at all in Paris. All of the players that we thought are not making it necessarily to the finals that we would have hoped, like Fritz or Hurkacz or even Felix, because we kind of hoped that they would jump up. And Felix
I'm
jumped
very
up,
happy to see Felix there.
Yeah.
I'm
glad that he got this far.
With his loss against Holger Rune, that snaps a 16-match win streak, which is phenomenal for him.
Right.
I believe 3 titles along that road. That was really good. And again, like we mentioned before, I think this is really something that he needed for his confidence to boost.
Yeah. So I think he's going to go into that final, especially he's number 5, you said? A number 5 seed?
I believe with the jump up from... Yes, from the jump up.
I'm interested to see how the brackets laid out for him, but I should...
Well, remember that ranking does not mean anything except for the number 1 and number 2 won't be in the same bracket.
Exactly. But I hope that the bracket is favorable for him.
Well, we thought... I mean, the thing is, we thought that brackets, even though it's not a bracket, it's a round robin.
Yeah, right. True.
We thought that brackets would be favorable.
Uh-huh.
But with that said, we'll come back.
Here.
But with that said, we'll come back to the men's side by the end of this episode. But
yes, speaking of round robins.
Well, we need to move over to the women's side where the round robins are completed. And we have our semifinalists with no semifinal yet drawn. Yeah?
Yeah.
So, the reason why the semifinal has not been drawn officially yet is because we're still awaiting the final matches from the Tracy Austin group. But the way it stands right now, let's look at the draw that is completed. The Nancy Reicke group, which a very nice gradient there.
I know, it's crazy.
Maria Sakkari with 3 wins.
Go her.
Sabalenka with 2, Jabeur with 1, and Pegula with 3 L's.
I definitely know that coming out of last episode, you were not expecting Pegula to be 0-3 out of anybody there.
Yes.
I expected Jabeur to be better.
I expected Jabeur to be better.
I did not expect Sabalenka to do as well.
I thought the Jessie Pegula was going to be the top seed coming out of that group. But I will give myself credit of saying that I did expect a good Sakari performance.
Yeah.
You talk about momentum, and she did so well leading up to this. What I saw from Sakari is, I mean, it's in similarity to also what I saw from Sabalenka, which was also unexpected for me. Good ball striking and good shot selection, which it's going to come down to that, as well as consistency. When you look, we've discussed it before, when you look at the way the game is played on the women's side, it's going to come down to a lot of good ball striking and consistency. Making sure that your shots are solid, that they can't be taken advantage of easily, but at the same time you're taking enough risk, but at the same time not too much risk to the point where you
become vulnerable.
You can't. You just can't be making too many mistakes.
Yeah.
There's no room for error in the whole of professional tennis. There's not much room for error, but with that said, on the women's side, because they are so consistent, it really plays into their matches where you really can't make too many mistakes, because it will cost you. What I saw from Sakari and Sabalenka against Jabeur was they did what, in my opinion, is very similar to what Iga does against Jabeur, just with a lack of the level of topspin. Strong, heavy ball striking that does not give Jabeur opportunity to be overly crafty. With that said, I don't know if I saw any of like a drop of performance from Jabeur.
You know, I
don't think I did. I think we just saw a rise of performance.
I was about to say, in that first game, Sabalenka just kind of had to figure things out. In that first set.
If anyone showed us a drop of performance, I hate to say it, but it was Jessie Pegula.
Yeah.
It just didn't seem to me as if she was as solid as before, and I think that also proves.
Like, just look at her match with Jabeur.
But also when you look at the doubles draws, her and Coco Gauff have gone 0-3, which means that
I would not have.
We are still sitting on a Swiatek Gauff match later tonight. If Coco loses, that means that they could have a combined 0-9, which is insane, keeping in mind how heavily we expected them to do well.
Exactly.
Going in.
Oh, goodness.
So, I think...
Yeah, we should talk about the other side of the group.
So, quickly, with the group we just mentioned, Maria Sakkari will be that 1 seed, and Sabalenka will be the 2 seed coming out of that. That's going to prove crucial for Sakkari, because it does look at the moment that Iga will be the number 1 seed coming out of this group, which means she will face Sabalenka in the semis. That is huge for Sakkari, that she does not need to face Iga in that first round.
I totally agree.
As it does look, it will be either Caroline Garcia or Kasatkina, depending on who wins that match.
But Caroline Garcia has been doing well.
I need to mention this. I need to mention this last thing right now. I do not think Coco beats Iga. I don't. Honestly. If you look at the way both have been playing, what I see with Coco is what we mentioned, what we feared earlier. I would like to say, from what I saw personally, I think we saw a lack of confidence and and I think that stems from a lack of experience. This is a very, very high pressure tournament. These are the 8 best in the world from this year.
Yeah.
And there's no buffer of time to get warmed up and get kind of eased in.
You're just thrown right into that round robin.
By a first, second round match by against someone who's outside the top 50. There's no room for that. Your first match, you're getting thrown in the deep end. And so I think it kind of... Sorry, everybody knows how much I love Coco. I only talk praise about her for every single episode, but to me she kind of looked like a chicken with her head cut off. Like, lack of... I don't know. In a way, lack of direction, but I think just overall lack of confidence, and that's something that needs to get built. She's been performing at a high level for about 2 years now. Playing with a high, as in playing with a high rank, playing and really competing for these titles. I just wish that we got to see more. And it just sucks, in my opinion, that her last match is going to be against Iga, because Iga looks absolutely unstoppable.
Yeah, she's flawless right now. It's incredible.
But with that said, I'm not sure of the exact, final numbers of the game against and all that stuff and what happens in either case.
I have confidence, though, that Garcia will beat Kasatkina.
I do, too, if I'm being honest with you. I find it pretty inevitable at the moment, in my opinion. So the way it currently stands, when it comes to games, so it comes to sets. Iga's currently 4-0 in sets. Garcia and Kasatkina both 2-2. Saying that Iga does not, well, I don't think it's possible for any of them to pass her right now.
I don't think it is either.
Even when you look at the games won lost, Iga is the only one in that group that's positive. She's won just over 70% of her games, 24-10, about 70.5%. Whereas Caroline and Garcia and Kasatkina have both lost more games than they've won. It's a fight for second place, but that does confirm that one of our semifinals will be Swiatek versus Sabalenka. How do we feel about that one?
I don't know. I'm still confident that Swiatek will prevail, but I think it's impossible not to say this at this point, that the match between her and Sabalenka will be better and more hard fought than I originally thought it would have been.
Yes.
Because of her performance thus far. Anything can happen. Holger Rune is a finalist in Paris. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
So, but I still have confidence in Iga.
But yeah, let's go back to, you mentioned it earlier briefly, but let's kind of harp on it. What do we think is going to happen with this Garcia-Kasatkina match? I think we've seen some really, really good tennis from them this past week, but I agree with you. I think it's going to be Caroline Garcia.
I think it's going to be Caroline Garcia, and then she's going to play Maria Sakkari, and then I think it's going to be a Sakkari-Iga final.
I agree with you.
Okay.
I agree with you. I think it will be a 1-1. The top seed from both draws.
Although, to be fair, if Garcia should beat Sakkari, then I would actually entertain that as a final as well, as a Garcia versus Swiatek. Although I don't necessarily believe it as much, I would still enjoy seeing that. I enjoy seeing that for Caroline Garcia.
Quickly go onto the other side, on the doubles side, because we riffed on it briefly. Some big things. We will have an American in the semifinals and doubles, in Desi Kravchuk, who's done absolutely phenomenal with Demi Schurz. Yes, I got that right. Okay. They've played really, really awesome, and it's nice to see Kravchuk because this is now her second time, I believe, in the Tour Finals, and she's done so well this time. They've come up 2-1. But with that said, Krejcikova and Siniakova are 3-0. Absolute dominance over that group. I've been watching some of their matches, Krejcikova and Siniakova, and then Kudermetova and Mertens, the current top seeds in both groups. They're so good. What I think can be learned from watching their matches is a really good level of anticipation, because that's really important in doubles when you have somebody up top, and when you watch them poach, they time it so well, and it really, really proves why they are pros at what they do. But Krejcikova and Siniakova are guaranteed first, and then Kravchuk and Schurz will be second. In the other draw, currently second is Danilina and Haddad Maia. that could change with Dabrowski and Almos, but 2 losses for Kachenok and Ostapenko, which doesn't necessarily surprise me.
Well, yeah, that wouldn't surprise you.
I am very impressed with Danilina and Haddad Maya, as well as Kudermetova and Mertens were not the top seeds in that group going in.
Yeah, no, they weren't.
But I think we'll have some good matches and some really good things to look forward to when it comes to those finals.
Yes,
which will be
I am
played,
excited
I believe,
to see
next
those.
week. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It really, I think, in my opinion, it lived up to my expectations when it comes to what I expect out of a tour finals.
Yeah.
I feel like every tour finals has that same level of like both surprised but not surprised.
Yeah.
Not surprised in
fair.
Iga's dominance, but surprised in Sakari's dominance.
Or like surprised in Goff and Pagula's lack of sort of performance on both fronts, in terms of like doubles and singles.
But I think
doubles.
the main thing to get out of this is that this is both of their first times, if I'm not mistaken, in the singles finals. I think it's gonna be really, really good experience for them.
Yeah,
But
this is what we've been saying like the whole time, like that, like experience like matters, and we think
does it?
Yeah, and that this is just kind of like I guess a visualization, a manifestation of that. So I mean, yeah, but this is gonna be like a valuable moment for them going further in their careers, and I would not be surprised to see them here again. You know?
Yeah, for sure. But when you look at the history of this tournament, I don't think many 1 seeds have won the singles. I don't think Muguruza was. I don't think Svitolina was. I don't think Wozniacki was. I don't think Cibulkova or Radwanska were. So it's completely possible that Iga doesn't do it.
Yeah.
It's not alien. It's just going to be about...
But to be fair, have we had... actually, no. I was about to say, have we had like someone who's in a number 1 spot that's been dominating in respect to the other players this year as much as she has in a while?
I don't know. That's very fair. I think... I'll say it again. I don't think we've seen this level of dominance since... I'll give Ash Barty some you know...
That's why I was hesitating, is because of Ash Barty.
I'll give Ash Barty some kind of acknowledgement there, but I really think I'm going to put it to Serena. Iga has looked pretty... I don't want to use the word unbeatable, but I think it's an appropriate word, unbeatable, this year.
She's just been so on top of things this year. It's
been so difficult to win. I don't know how many losses she's garnered this year, but I'll guarantee you it's not a lot. I think this year, I believe she's 64-8.
Wow.
This year, I don't think that's counting this year's tour finals either. So that number's just gonna rise.
For sure.
8 losses, which is absolute insanity. Which gives us an even... Sorry.
He's doing the math.
I don't know. When it comes to, like, win-loss percentage, it's beyond, like... It's beyond anything that I could have expected for her this year. If you asked me in January what was going to happen.
Oh, for sure. Me as well. But, like, again, like, it's... I don't know. I invite it. This is fun. This is cool, and I'm happy for her that she's found such great success this year.
She's had 8 titles this year,
and 2 of them were Grand Slams.
Out of an 11 career titles. 8 out of her 11 career titles have come in this year alone, which is again insane to me. And when you look at it from a national stance, she's 9 away from passing Radwanska as the most titles by a Polish woman.
She almost did that in a year.
Singles. Yeah. She's 9 away.
No, I mean, but like she almost did 9 in a year.
Yeah.
Like next year she could do that if she finds that this same success is what I'm saying.
That's true. And I think, to your point, again, like, what needs to be remembered is that it was this year that Ash Barty retired.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
if we look at her momentum, if it had spanned a little bit earlier, because in my opinion, her momentum stemmed from the pressure that she got becoming number one in the way that she did. She didn't pass Ash Barty. Ash Barty just retired, giving Iga the number one spot. So I think if you look at it now, with the momentum that she has now, I agree with you. If she had had the same momentum from the beginning of the year, she could have double digits in titles. She could be a 10, because that's a hefty chunk of the year where Barty was still in. I think she retired in February or March.
Yeah.
Which is a hefty amount of titles which Iga could have won. And I think
And now
it's
going
really
into next
interesting
year,
to think about,
when Barty's not gonna be there,
Yeah.
you know.
I think Iga's going to be a heavy, heavy contender, dare I say, for the calendar slam.
Ooh.
But that's to be talked.
Dangerous thoughts.
But that's to be talked about in a later episode when we actually do predictions for
He's
next
so
year.
hopeful for that.
I'm extremely hopeful. But I think it's already guaranteed she will be the
That would
year-end
be
number
really
one.
cool, though.
She will be the year-end number one, which is huge. Again, when you look at it on a national scale, the first time, if I'm not mistaken, the first time that a poll has been the year-end number one in singles, which is huge. Absolutely huge. It's so impressive, the year that she's had, and I don't want to riff on it too much because we're literally going to have a whole episode on it later on.
Yeah.
But I'm just so impressed with what she's been able to do. And she's definitely not done. I think we're definitely looking at our champion for the Tour Finals. But that's only going to be even more and more, confidence for her going into next year. But with that said, I think a lot of these women have some newfound confidence going into next year. Sakari and Sabalenka being two of them.
For sure.
And Caroline Garcia is on a constant rise in singles, which I personally didn't expect, because I expected her rise to be in doubles, because she was always such a really, really awesome doubles player.
Yeah.
So to see her consistent success in singles is really impressive to me. And so who knows what next year will bring, but that's for another episode.
For sure. But I am, needless to say, excited for them.
Yeah. Where do we want to take it now?
Where do we want to take it? Do you want to further speculate on what will happen in the ATP finals?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, now that Alcaraz has officially retired from that, which I think is bonkers. To my knowledge, he retired in his match with Holger Rune.
It is a muscle tear.
Yeah, it's a muscle tear. Okay. That sucks for him.
Yeah.
Well, actually, before we dive in, what do you think that's gonna be like for him going into next year? Sort of dealing with this muscle tear. Do you think that's like?
I think it's gonna be a hindrance for him. But what's good for him though is that when we do come back, we're coming back on the hard court, so where he knows success because he just won the U.S. Open.
True.
And we've mentioned it before. What's really nice to see from him is that he's not, a one surface dominant in the way that someone like Rafa is, where Rafa good on any surface, but is king of clay, and most of his success comes on clay. Whereas when you look at Alcaraz, you can see him perform well on any surface. Period. We've seen him done well on clay. We've seen him done well on hard court. Not to say we haven't seen him done well on grass. But with that said, I think that it's going to be interesting. I think it's just going to be a matter of how quickly he can recover. And then we all know what happens after recovery. Now you need to start building yourself back up to, the prior performance.
Right. And before a lot of the big tournaments, he'll have some matches to kind of throw himself back in there. And that should, I think, serve to sort of warm him back up again. I mean, I'm glad that it's not something too immensely severe, to the point where I do believe that he'll kind of just... This was just kind of like a little pushback, but I do think that he'll find his momentum again.
So let me ask you,
Yeah.
what names do we expect big things from?
All right. That's a good
What
question.
do we expect to not do so well?
Uh-huh.
And who do we expect could surprise us? Now, those last
Okay.
two questions could overlap.
Okay.
Those
okay.
last two questions could overlap.
Yes. Okay. Surprise, while they're in my head, is Rune and Musetti.
Musetti?
Oh, you're talking about the finals. I thought you were talking about next year.
No,
My
I'm
bad.
talking about the finals.
Sorry.
Which is why I didn't question Rune, because
I
he's still in
apologize.
contention.
But yeah, no. Rune and Fritz, I think Fritz needs to, like, find...
Well, it's only going to be one of them.
I know, okay, I know. But I would rather it be Fritz.
I'm not going to lie.
But
I would rather it be Holger Rune.
you would. Really?
On an account of this.
Why?
Entertainment.
You just think it'd be funny.
No!
Okay.
I think Rune is going to be much more competitive in the field than Taylor Fritz.
That's fair.
If you look at the momentum going in, Taylor Fritz has not seen
That's
too
what I
much
was
momentum
gonna
since
say.
a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Holger Rune, for those past few weeks, has just been climbing and rising and rising and rising and rising.
That is what I was gonna say. That Fritz needs to find footing.
Exactly.
You know.
He wasn't on our radar going to go into the finals going in for the last few weeks, but now he 100% is. And with that said, I think that if Rune makes it into the tour finals, it's just going to be much more competitive and much more entertaining. With that said,
Can I just say,
if he makes it, I'm gonna expect a good performance from him. Obviously, depending on what group he's in. If he's in a group with Novak and Felix, or with Novak and Stefanos, because it's completely possible that him, Novak, Felix, and Stefanos is one group.
Yeah. Ooh.
And that would pose an absolute Mount Everest size mountain for him to climb.
Especially with Djokovic, because now I think for me he's my number one. I definitely think I'm going to see.
What's really what I love right now is that as the way it stands right now, Novak is in 8th. I like him at that lower point because he could get thrown with literally anyone in that field, and that is, in my opinion, wonderful. I love the fact that we could see an absolute powerhouse group. When we talk about momentum going into this, if I see Novak and Felix in the same group, that will make my day. It will they probably hate it, but I'm gonna love it because the level of tennis and performance that we've seen from them from the last few weeks has surpassed, especially Felix, has surpassed my expectations completely, and it makes me so excited to see what they can produce. Who am I expecting to not do as well?
Medvedev.
I hate to say it. I'm gonna say Rafa.
Really?
On a sole purpose of I have not seen enough of him over the last few weeks, and when you put Rafa, who hasn't been playing a lot over the last few weeks and hasn't been playing overly well over the last few weeks,
and who we did not I don't think we mentioned this earlier, who had an upset in the round of 16 to Tommy Paul in Paris.
And if you put him in the same group as Felix, someone who's seen a lot of really great results. You heard me say it before. 16 match win streak, going into that match. Going into the tour finals. If you put him and Rafa, my money's gonna be on Felix. With that said,
I concur. Especially since
said, it's Rafa. And it's the tour finals. Anything can happen.
Can I just say though, I really don't expect Medvedev to do an insane amount either.
That's fair.
I don't know. I was a little more hopeful after his performance last week, but I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure anymore.
Yeah.
Because even though de Minaur played really well that game, I don't know. I think he's too volatile.
Yeah.
To like sort of be confident in. At this point, he doesn't have as much momentum as he did like last year.
Yeah. So I'm going to throw another interesting name into the I don't expect too much from them, and that's Casper Ruud.
I agree.
And it's on account of this. both him and Rublev fell in the third round.
Mm-hmm.
Ruud to Musetti, Rublev to Rune. But here's where I make the differentiation. Casper Ruud. How am I going to phrase this to completely phrase what I want to say? Let's start with Rublev. I don't think Rublev played bad. I don't think he played badly. I think Rune just played insanely well. When I look at Ruud versus Musetti, I think Musetti played well. But I don't think that Casper Ruud played well either. It's an account of, like, comparing Rublev and Ruud, both who fell in the third round. I think when you look at Rublev, he played well. He just lost to a better player. When it comes to Ruud, he didn't play awful, but he didn't play well either, and he lost to a good player. You mentioned it before, Museti's been playing really well, but he's not Holger Rune right now.
That is very true.
And Musetti played well. You have to play well to win, but you also don't have to play amazingly. And I don't think Musetti did. It wasn't an overly, say, like... It was a tough match, 3 sets, which... For me to have confidence in Ruud, sure, he lost in 3, but in my opinion, if I want to have confidence in him, he should not have lost that match. He should have won, whether that be in 3 or 2, he should have won and he should have been in the quarterfinals if I want to have confidence in him going forward.
I 100% agree. I need to see how he performs in his first round robin to really sort of gauge how he's going to do.
Again,
because I don't know, he's as a player, I think he's really volatile. I think he gets in his own head a lot. Yeah. And that really kind of like shows through with his game, because I think he has a really good game. Yeah. But at the same time, I think you watch him like hit from the baseline, and he's not like charging in all the time. You know, he's always sort of like, I think his problem is he gets caught a lot on the defensive, and he doesn't.
That's fair, yeah.
And he doesn't use sort of his weapons like he could or should a lot of
the
time.
I agree. But
when he gets on top, he's good there. But I need to see some early instances of him being on top in the tournament to have confidence in him.
I agree. And here's what I want to mention. We mentioned it when we talked about the women's finals, is that there is no warm-up. This tournament is their warm-up.
No.
Which is why having a good performance in Paris is so crucial. Because it kind of sets you up for how you're going to do moving forward. Yeah. For someone like Felix or Novak or Tsitsipas or Rune, who made it to at least semifinals, they're going to go in with some sort of momentum, knowing that they can perform well. This is their warm-up.
Exactly.
You get in, you're playing against one of the best in the world. There's no time for experiments, for warming up, for getting ready, for, getting into the... No, there's no time for it. You get thrown in, and you're going to have to perform.
And I think it's needless to say that they will perform, like, at least a little better off the bat than Rublev and Ruud and Medvedev will. And if in the off chance Rune doesn't win Paris and Fritz gets in, then Fritz as well. Because... Yeah.
Then let me ask you this. The last part of our question, who could surprise us? We're talking about how much we expect from Novak and Felix and Stefanos and potentially Holger Rune based off of their prior performance, but who could come in and surprise us?
If Tsitsipas goes really far, he would surprise me.
Really?
I think he's been playing really well, but I don't know if I have the confidence to see him like finish.
I agree with you. Because
I don't know, because he has done this so much in the past when it really counts. And I just really need to see him finish.
That's fair.
I just really need to see him finish. I know he can do it, but like that would be what surprises me with him. And also I think if I see Felix in that last round, because this was a momentum break, I would be happily surprised.
Then let me ask you this: who do you think will surprise? From the names that we said, we would not expect to do very well, saying Medvedev. Rafa, Ruud, Rublev, and potentially Taylor Fritz, who could surprise us? Like, who has the potential to come in and really make a move? I'm going to say the Russians. I'm going to say Medvedev and Rublev.
Yeah.
On an account of this is a momentum break, but remember how well they performed before Paris?
Rublev could surprise me.
I'm going to say it on two accounts, separately. First, for Medvedev. He has won this tournament before. We've talked about the importance of experience. When we look at this, let's realize only 3 of these guys have won this title before. Djokovic, Medvedev, Tsitsipas. I think he has the potential to do really, really well here. And he understands the environment. He understands what he has to do. And I think he's going to be well prepared for it. Because he knows how to prepare for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also not the second time or third time he's been here. This is, I think, 4th or 5th time he's been in Tour Finals.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's going to be ready. I think at least 3rd. But now on account of Rublev. Rublev, I mentioned, he didn't play badly against Rune. Rune just outplayed him. I think...
I have higher expectations for Rublev in this
than Medvedev. I
Medvedev.
fully agree. You look at how he performed leading up to Paris. He had a tournament win in... Gosh, if I could only remember. But,
he did have a tournament win.
He did have a tournament win a few weeks ago.
Yes, he did.
And I think when we look at him as a whole, he knows what weapons he has, how to use them, and it's, I think, a matter of preparation for him.
Mm-hmm.
If this loss in the 3rd round really shook him or not.
That's a good point.
Sure, it stopped his momentum, but one commonality between Medvedev and Rublev is that a lot of time it's gonna come down to the mental.
I think so too. But I think the difference is I don't think Rublev is as momentum-based as Medvedev is. You know what I mean? Like, I think Rublev, if he sort of, like, resets...
Rublev is also much calmer 100%. Than Medvedev.
I think if he just, like, gets in a good headspace, feels confident in himself...
Agreed.
And like you said, he's very knowledgeable on how his game works. And that's an extremely good sort of aspect of his game that sort of allows him to sort of not be as momentum-based.
Yeah.
And I think that if he just sort of takes all that stuff into account, resets, then I think he could come in and give us a strong performance in this tournament.
And I agree. So who do we think, for final words, just kind of officially, all right, I want to hear 2, okay, it's 2 questions. Okay?
Yeah.
For both men's and women's side, who's our year-end number 1? Who's our Tour Finals champion? Let's start with the easy one. Iga and Iga.
Iga.
I think that's the easy one.
Yeah.
Hard to stop her momentum. The train keeps running. On the men's side, I'm gonna give year-end number 1 to Carlos Alcaraz. I don't think it's enough. I don't think Rafa will have enough.
That's what I was gonna say.
It is very dependent on his performance moving forward. I don't think he has enough.
And even if Tsitsipas performs very well,
it's
not enough.
I think the Tour.
I think that's a completely valid.
The Tour Finals.
I think Djokovic is gonna win.
I don't like this. I really don't. I really don't like it.
Djokovic is gonna win.
I'm going to be a bit of a chicken, and I'm going to say again, Novak.
Why is that being a chicken? I think that's just true.
It's just it's just the easy cop out answer. Now,
but look at him.
There's a difference between what I want and what I think. I think Novak. I want Felix or Rune. I think that'd be very fun.
That would be very fun. I mean, to be fair.
In all fairness, it could be Stefanos. He could come out of nowhere.
He could.
But, okay, I'll say this. If Stefanos wins Paris, it will instill a whole new confidence in him for me. But I think the easy answer is Novak.
Especially
just experience level, ability to come out of nowhere and perform out of his gosh darn mind. I think it's going to be Novak.
And if I may, if Stefanos in a miracle run beats Djokovic here, which he is up 6-5 in the 3rd set, but we've known in the past that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
True.
But if he somehow pulls through in Paris and then he carries that with him, there is a shot at one, I think. Is there not?
I don't remember. I'm too tired to remember if number 1 is based off of the year-to-date points or the overall points.
Interesting. Yeah.
But as the last thing we do, we're obviously going to look at where the rankings stand.
Yes.
And
let's take a gander.
Yeah.
Okay. You know,
Yeah.
I think it's...
Oh, I'm completely wrong. It's all the same. I forgot how the points work. That's my bad. Yeah, if he wins Paris, and he will most likely move up to number 2.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if I'm not mistaken, he's not in reach.
Maybe he isn't.
Number 1.
Maybe he isn't. But I do have confidence that
The Tour Finals
he
is not,
can surpass Nadal.
That's true. I think he can. But I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens moving forward. And what's fun to think of is when we sit back in these chairs behind this microphone next week, we'll be talking about the Tour Finals already.
Right.
And what's happening there. So
little summative year podcast on the horizon. And
in a few weeks coming up, yeah.
We're hopeful for exciting games and...
But yeah.
And yeah. Okay.
That's all we've got.
Yep.
So we will catch you guys next week.
Bye-bye.